Good morning, class. I wanted to just go over some things since we're in the last few weeks of the course to make sure that everybody's on target for their final paper, the research paper. If you're online or on site, the requirements are the same, the points are the same. So I wanted to give you an idea of some of the things because I've said look at the rubric, look at the rubric, look at the rubric. You're probably tired of hearing that. What I'm going to be doing, though, is reviewing. This is going to be separate from the chapter recording that I'm going to make for this week. So what I want to do is, first of all, look at the fact that, and I'm going through the rubric. If you have a copy, you can go through it as I'm reviewing it here. The first thing you want to do is identify a problem. This is the problem statement. So what you're doing is saying, okay, in an organization, this is a problem that affects organizational behavior. In other words, how people act in the organization. Give a background, give a history of the problem. So for example, if you're talking about absenteeism, talk about absenteeism. You don't have to have a history of it in that organization. What you're doing is preparing the reader, that would be me or whomever is reading it, to say, this is why I've addressed it. This is the history of the problem, and so that warrants my looking at it. So it's really getting into an actual research paper. The other thing you have to do is give 2 reasons why you picked the problem. Whatever. Maybe you feel that in your research you saw how many problems it causes. You saw, excuse me, statistics that bear out the need to address it, whatever the case is. But you don't just say, well, the topic I picked is absenteeism because I think it's an important element in the organization. No, that's only your first sentence. You need to elaborate on that. I want you to understand, and I'm stressing this because the homework I've been getting from people is a sentence. You've got to elaborate. Your answers for whatever I give you to do should be at least 2 to 3 sentences or more. This is a college level course. You have to be able to discuss. And please don't think I'm picking on you. This is not about APA. This is about writing. This is about articulating. This is about having cohesive and coherent thoughts that you can articulate to people. This is going to help you in your jobs. It's going to help you in your life. It's going to help you in your business communications. So this is what I'm focusing on. You've got to get out of the high school way of writing and get into the college way of writing. And this I'm hoping, I know you're going to say she's preaching again, but this is why I'm here for you, because I want to help you to do this, okay? Anyway, 2 reasons why you selected the problem. Notice I say use citations for each of these items. So everything you're talking about is the result of your research. The way you can do this, and I know you've been talking about APA and we've been talking about citations. A great way to introduce a sentence is research has shown. Okay? So if you start a sentence, research has shown, parentheses, Robbins and Judge, 2016, close parentheses, that, okay, you see what I just did? That there is an issue with absenteeism in the workplace. Then at the end of that sentence, and you wouldn't write it that way, of course, it would be more detail, you'd put the page number. So you see how I'm trying to help you to not just say, according to Robbins and Judge, according to Robbins and Judge, according to Robbins and Judge, or Robbins and Judge at the end of the sentence. There are ways to introduce the citation that are creative. For example, if you're writing a sentence that is all your own words except for a term that comes out of your research, after that term, you would put the citation for those authors and then continue on with the sentence. So what you're doing is letting the reader know this whole sentence is my writing, but this term I got from this book. So you see how it works? I don't want you to be stuck in the according to Robbins and Judge or at the end. Okay? Sorry. We'll move on. Reasons for the problem. So you identify 3 reasons for the problem. Now, people have said to me, this is the same thing as the problem statement. No, the first one is you telling me why you picked the problem. So it's an overall look at the problem as a whole. In the second part, reasons for the problem, you are addressing not just the numbers, but why you think it exists. So this is a different aspect of the research. The first one is saying why you picked it. So if you said, for example, absenteeism is a key problem in almost every organization that I researched, or almost every area that I looked at talks about absenteeism. That would be one of your reasons for the problem. And of course, you would cite that, tell me why you picked it. Now, when you get into this second one, you say, well, this is why absenteeism exists. Now you're getting into some other things. For example, micromanaging bosses, being overloaded with work, excessive stress in the workplace. See where I'm going? It's a different approach to the problem, okay? So don't send me emails and say, I'm confused. Number one and number two seem like they're the same. Watch my video, okay? Number three, the effects of the problem. So you've given me a history of the problem. You've told me why you picked it. You've given 3 reasons for the problem. Now you're going to tell me how that problem affects different aspects of the organization. So we've got 5 areas. First being morale, second being productivity, third being efficiency, fourth being effectiveness, and fifth being goal attainment. Now, here's a key. Effectiveness and efficiency are not the same thing. What is effectiveness? If someone says you are an effective employee, what does that mean? It means you get the job done. You do what you're supposed to do, and you do it well. An efficient employee is one who says, well, I'm doing this, but I'm taking too long. I can decrease the time. I can save money. I can utilize less resources. I can help the company get to their goals sooner. So you see the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. You have to address both of those in the 5 items that I want you to discuss as far as effects. Please cite your work. I will take many points off at this point for this paper if you do not understand that you need to cite your work. We've been doing this for 16 weeks almost now. It's got to be done. Okay? Effects of the problem. All right, so we get to the next page of the rubric, and we're talking about possible solutions. Okay, how are you going to fix it? Now, here's the thing. This gets a little confusing sometimes to students. Don't look at possible solutions and say, well, how am I going to cite a solution? This is my opinion. Yes, it is your opinion, but it is supported by your research. So if you say, I think if managers delegate more to their employees, that morale will be increased, that's great. That's your opinion. Then you go to the research and find something that supports what you just said. So in your research, if you find something that says most organizations who delegate to their employees find that morale is increased, now you've got something to support what you're saying. So you see where I'm going with this. Yes, there's opinion, but there's citation to support it. Now do you see why I've been bugging you all these weeks? That you don't just write your opinion in an answer, that I want you to cite either before or after or include it in the discussion. I was preparing you for this, okay? All right, now, and you'll notice there is a sample paper. Please click the link that says syllabus. I know you think, my goodness, I understand, I get it. You won't believe the people that haven't looked at that yet, because I'm checking the numbers. What are you waiting for? Click on the syllabus link in Blackboard and look at the materials I've lined up as far as APA. There is a completed paper in there. You can't get better than that. And please don't use it because you'll get an F for the paper, okay? You'll get a 0. What you want to do is look at the paper, look how it's set up, look at the outline. Now, I want to caution you that it's not necessarily an A paper. What I did was I put it out there so that you could get an idea of the flow of the paper. You don't have to do it exactly as far as, for example, in the beginning. If your topic warrants having an introduction, put an introduction. In the problem statement, you could make the history of the problem your introduction. So you see how I'm working it? I don't want you to be afraid and say, well, I can't go outside of what she's doing. You can, but you have to include everything that needs to be in the rubric. Okay, so you've got 3 solutions you're going to list. Yes, really. Solution number 1, solution number 2, solution number 3. Those are the subheadings. Please look at the sample paper so you know how they need to be formatted. Okay, so you've got your 3 solutions. You introduce the idea. You give a specific recommendation for each one. You give specific details for each one. You discuss how and why you think they would be, this item would be a possible solution to the problem that you have written about. Then you get to the last section. This is the recommendation, and here's what you do. You pick one of the possible solutions. No, you do not pick another solution. Some people have done this in the past. You will lose points for this. I want you to take the solution that you think is the most feasible from the 3 possible solutions and say, this is what I recommend, this is why. It's in detail. Remember, in the beginning of the course I said, put on your consulting hat. This is it. Put on your consulting hat and go to this company that you're researching in your mind and say, Mr. Company, this is what I have found. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I've researched. This is what I found. There are 3 potential solutions that we can implement. I have selected one, and this is the one I'm recommending, and I'm giving you 3 reasons why I'm recommending it. And that's also included in the recommendation. What is going to be the effect of this recommendation? How is this going to help the organization? How is it going to improve? How is it going to help to eliminate whatever the problem was that you are addressing, the overall problem? Okay? Some details. You have to have a cover page. Oh, by the way, on Blackboard, in that syllabus link, there is a template paper. So you can't tell me, I don't know how to use APA, I couldn't figure out how to do it in Word, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's all in the template. Keep it simple. I'm trying to make it easy for you, okay? Put that cover page on. That's going to be part of it. You're going to put your title. It's an overall title. It doesn't have to be real long. You'll look at APA. If you look at APA, it tells you it doesn't want it to be extremely long. So it's an overview of what you're writing about. So for example, if your paper had to do with absenteeism in the workplace, guess what you'd call your paper? Absenteeism in the workplace, period. No, and 3 possible solutions, and the recipe for chocolate chip cookies. I know I'm being facetious, but you see where I'm going? Cut, dry, short, sweet. Here's the title of my paper. You have to have a reference page, and that's at the end of your paper. Notice in the template, there's a format for different kinds of references. Notice in the completed paper, there are different types of references, so you can see how all of them work together, how they're formatted, okay? At least 5 references and the text. So you got 6 references altogether. Don't send me emails asking me how many references. I'm going to tell you to watch this recording and read the rubric, okay? If you guys know and understand how busy you are, then you know and understand how busy I am. I'm putting the tools out there for you, but I want you to take the responsibility. I'm putting the onus on you to research, to read, to cover what I've set up for you. If at that point you still have questions, feel free to ask me. That's not a problem. But I'm not going to answer questions, and I said this in the beginning, that you should be able to get from the materials that I've already put out there. Okay? Sound fair? All right. We follow APA format for headings, subheadings, your writing. The paper is 7 to 10 pages, so that's exclusive of the cover page and the references. And by the way, you don't need an abstract. Don't send me an email asking if you need an abstract. Does it show that you need an abstract? No, it doesn't. Students put those in. I say, no, please. This is not that kind of paper. That's one less thing you have to do, okay? 7 to 10 pages. Your writing. Please go through spell check. And that doesn't catch everything. It doesn't always catch all the grammatical errors. It doesn't always catch, because spell check will only check if a word is spelled wrong. It won't catch necessarily if it's used wrong. So I want you to read the paper aloud. Students laugh at me. Read it aloud to yourself and just, okay, this is, that's okay, right? Read it. Read your own work. You will be amazed at how you look at a paper and you see what you expect to see and it's totally wrong. Reading it aloud takes that away. It helps you to catch those things and to fix them before you submit the paper. On a final note, please look. Now, I'm talking on the paper about your writing and everything. Please look and make sure, and this is one thing students get caught on a research paper. I have deliberately broken this out into sections because it's not the typical, and you'll see this with APA, it's a little different. You still have to transition to the next section, but it's a lot easier because you've already got a heading showing what you're writing about. But give an introductory sentence. Look at how that sample paper was written. If you have a paper, let's say a draft that you want to send to me for me to look at, I will give you an overview and say yay or nay. I will not read the whole paper. I will not grade the paper. All I'm going to do is look at the flow, formatting, those kinds of things, and say, you're on your way, go for it. Okay? So please do that, because at the end of the semester, I have 150 papers to grade. And I really want you guys to make it so good that all I have to do is quickly go through, read the content, everything's in order, bada boom, bada bing, you get an A. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions, and there's another recording I'm making for Chapter 17. I'll be posting that as well. Talk to you later. Thank you. Goodbye.